You've been to Africa, right?
Yeah, I've been to Africa. So I went to Africa. I went to Rwanda specifically
Okay. Shout out to
to
Rwanda.
teach. Shout out to Rwanda. It's a beautiful country. Y'all should really go. Yeah, I always tell people to go. And this is one of the most. This is the thing I love talking about too. Outside of music, this is what I love talking about. So I went there to teach acting classes. I went with this company called Turi Kumwe. Right. I got a grant to go. I taught at a summer camp. One of the most fulfilling experiences I've ever had in my life, simply because I was in a new country. I was in another continent. You know what I mean? Just a whole nother continent, a whole different way of life. It was on the east. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it just gave me a lot of perspective, because one, I was helping mold young minds, because I never taught before, so that's one thing. But it also showed me how to appreciate certain things that I have over here. You know what I mean? Because certain countries in Africa are poverty stricken to a degree where if you're not used to it, you're gonna cry when you're there. You know what I mean? Like, there was a time where the realizing moment for me was when I was doing trying to do a lesson. I try to get my students to do scene work based on social issues, right? So I asked them, what's the certain things that you go through as a Rwandan, right? One of them said the education system, sometimes they have to import people from outside of the country to teach them, because there weren't a lot of teachers. I'm like, okay. Then somebody said poverty, like there's a lot of poverty. And in an effort to relate to my students, I was like, oh, you know what? It's interesting that you say that, because in America there's a issue with poverty. There's an issue with poverty. They started laughing.
It's a different type of poverty.
And I'm looking at him like, what the fuck are you laughing for, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, of course I didn't say that, but I'm like, what the fuck are you laughing for? Meanwhile, I'm saying this with Adidas pants on, $1,000 phone in my pocket, prescription lenses, an American Eagle shirt, and then that's like pop when you're here. Yes. But over there, this is a $30 shirt, whereas the average salary in Rwanda is $600 American dollars. The yearly salary is average yearly is $600 to $800.
And I think on Africa as a whole, it's way lower than that. I think I read something where it was like the average African lives off less than $1 a day.
I don't know the truth to that, but if that's true, that's crazy. Meanwhile, what I was simply wearing, was more than what their parents would have made in a month or two, and it just put it into perspective. Like we complain about whether or not we have hot water in the crib. And I was in a country where they had to worry about having running water. Fuck it if it's hot or cold. Like, is this shit running? Mm-hmm. Is there food to eat? You know what I mean? And it just gave me it gave me empathy, and it helped me understand that, like, all right, there's things back home that I love. And that's not to say like Africa is just all poverty and shit. It's a beautiful country. Like Rwanda specifically, they're light years ahead of us. Like years ahead of America when it comes to just like common decency, just having common sense. Mm-hmm. Their streets are clean. There's no litter. Mm-hmm. Like every third Saturday of the month, they're required to clean. Wow. Like, don't go to work. We're gonna clean. We're gonna clean this shit.
I love that. I actually was thinking about, like, how can we improve the hood? And I started thinking, like, yo, we need to get somebody to come into the hood, and number one, everyone pays rent. We need to come together, put that money together, and buy the buildings that we live in. And on top of that, we should have like a governing body that says, listen, bro, we can't have the front of the buildings dirty as fuck. Mm-hmm. Let everybody come together and clean and shit like that. And that's awesome to say that they have that going on in Africa.
Now, there's also like there's some corruption, just like every country has too. But there's things that they do understand that we don't. You know what I mean? And it's fun as fuck there too. Like, they got clubs out there too. Like, they have shit. But because of what we're taught, well, we're not even taught about Africa. That's one thing. But because of what we see in the commercials, the 10 cents a day shit, that's just the only thing we think about Africa. And I think that needs to change. Luckily, again, as I said earlier, the perception of Africans is changing, but there needs to be more work done.
I'm big on that too. And me and Nick always have like an argument of like speaking about Africa and everything. Right. I'm like, they portrayed that Africa is dirt poor growing up. Yeah. You seen on TV. Only time you seen about Africa was this kid. Can you donate 10 cents a day, 10 cents a month to help this hungry kid and everything? Yeah,
or a person playing a stereotype of Africa, doing the click noises. all that other shit. Which is really disrespectful because not all African countries speak in those dialects. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like there's such a lack of education and an ignorance towards just African countries in general. And that's the thing. There's African countries. Africa isn't just one place.
We look at Africa as
just
country.
One country. There's Nigeria, there's Ghana, there's Rwanda, there's Egypt, there's South Africa. There's just so many fucking countries in Africa. South Africa
never living better than Brooklyn. I ain't gonna lie to you for a fact.
But yeah, like I implore anybody to go to Africa just to see it and just to understand it a little bit differently, especially if you live in America. Like, try to go.
The Naked Mouse Show got to take a trip to Africa.
Yeah,
I think they need that.
Mm-hmm. I think it's because it's not a vacation spot. People don't go. You know what I mean?
But it could be a good vacation spot, right?
It literally is one.
Definitely.
But people don't look at because it's not tropical, because there's not marketing behind it. You know, people don't go.
When you got there, did you feel like you belong there?
Yes. That's another thing too. Yeah. It was so amazing to see a government, citizens, billboards of people that look just like you. Wow. That's just different, bro. That's just completely and then it was refreshing. And when I came back, I was like, oh fuck. Shit. Like I'm a minority again. That type of shit, right? It's crazy being somewhere and you're not the minority.
I definitely feel that when I go to Trinidad. When I go to Trinidad, it's like you feel like, I won't say stand out, but you just kind of feel included in everything. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you land in JFK, all you see is white people. Yep. And it's kind of weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm glad that I got to experience it because like I understood the power of, you know, being black. You know what I mean? Like just being in a country where everybody's black. Oh, there's no excuses no more. Mm-hmm. Like yeah, everybody's here looks like me. It's like, okay, this is what it feels like to not feel a weight on you. And I brought that back with me too. I learned so much going there, bro.
Ever told on a nigga? No. Ever squeezed a trigger? Yep. Ever set a nigga up? No. Ever helped a brother out when he was down on his luck?